Most people misunderstand confidence. They think confidence is loud. They imagine it as someone who walks into a room demanding attention. Someone who constantly reminds others how powerful they are. But that kind of behavior usually hides insecurity. Real confidence is quiet. It is the calm certainty that exists even when no one is watching. The kind that does not need approval, applause, or recognition. It is the understanding that whatever stands in front of you, you will find a way through it. People look at me and say the same thing again and again. He is the strongest. They think that strength alone created my confidence. But strength by itself is not enough. There are many talented people who doubt themselves. There are many skilled individuals who hesitate when the moment demands action. Confidence is built from something deeper. It is forged through experience, discipline, pressure, and understanding your own mind. It is shaped through lessons most people avoid because those lessons require discomfort. If you want absolute confidence, you must build it piece by piece. So listen carefully. Let us begin with the first lesson. The first lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to know your ability through action instead of imagination. Many people say they believe in themselves. They repeat it like a mantra. They try to convince themselves they are capable. But belief without proof is fragile. The moment a real challenge appears, that belief begins to shake. True confidence comes from experience. It comes from putting yourself into situations where you must act, where you must adapt, where you must find a solution. When I enter a fight, I do not rely on empty belief. I rely on experience. I have tested my limits countless times. I have faced threats that forced me to grow stronger. Because of that, I do not need to wonder whether I can handle the situation. I already know. Imagine two people facing a difficult challenge. The first has spent years practicing, learning, adjusting after every mistake. The second has spent years imagining success without ever testing themselves. When pressure arrives, the difference becomes obvious. The prepared mind remains calm. The untested mind begins to panic. Confidence grows when you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can face difficulty and survive it. Every challenge you confront becomes evidence. Evidence becomes belief, and belief becomes confidence. Now let us continue. The second lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to stop measuring your value through comparison. Comparison creates endless insecurity. There will always be someone ahead of you in some way. Someone stronger, faster, more experienced, or more recognized. If your confidence depends on being better than everyone else, you will always feel unstable. Confidence should not come from defeating others. It should come from evolving yourself. Think about someone who begins learning a difficult skill. On their first day, they struggle with even the basics. Their movements are clumsy, their understanding is incomplete. If they constantly compare themselves to masters who have trained for decades, they will feel discouraged. But if they compare themselves to who they were yesterday, something different happens. They begin to notice progress. Yesterday they could barely understand the technique. Today they can perform part of it. Tomorrow they refine it further. That progress becomes proof of growth. Confidence grows when you focus on your own path rather than everyone else's journey. Instead of asking whether you are better than someone else, ask whether you are stronger than your past self. Now we move deeper into the process. The third lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to become comfortable with pressure. Pressure reveals truth. When expectations rise and the situation becomes intense, people show who they really are. Some freeze. Their mind fills with doubt. Their focus disappears. Others become sharper. Pressure is not something to avoid. It is something to train within. Imagine a young sorcerer encountering a dangerous curse for the first time. The atmosphere is tense. Every movement matters. The danger is real. If that sorcerer runs away from every difficult encounter, their confidence will remain weak. But if they stay in the situation, observe carefully, and act despite the fear, something changes inside them. They begin to realize that pressure does not have the power they once believed it had. Over time, situations that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable. Confidence grows every time you perform under pressure and realize you are still standing afterward. Now consider the next lesson carefully. The fourth lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to master your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Emotions are powerful. Fear, anger, frustration, embarrassment. All of these feelings can cloud judgment. When someone allows emotions to control their actions, mistakes become inevitable. A fighter driven by anger loses precision. A student controlled by embarrassment stops asking questions and stops learning. A leader overwhelmed by fear avoids making decisions entirely. Confidence requires control. It does not mean suppressing emotion completely. It means recognizing those emotions without allowing them to dictate your behavior. Imagine standing in front of someone stronger than you expected. Fear appears immediately, but instead of letting that fear freeze you, you acknowledge it. You breathe. you continue analyzing the situation. You act anyway. When you prove to yourself that your emotions cannot dominate your decisions, confidence becomes stable. Let us continue. The fifth lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to accept full responsibility for your development. Many people protect their pride by blaming circumstances. If something goes wrong, they say the environment was unfair. They say the opponent was lucky. They say the situation was impossible. Excuses protect the ego but weaken the mind. Responsibility creates power. When you examine your failures honestly, you gain valuable information. You discover what needs to change. A sorcerer who fails during a mission because their technique was incomplete. If they blame their teammates or the situation, nothing improves. But if they return to training and analyze the weakness in their ability, the next encounter becomes different. Confidence grows when you trust your ability to learn from mistakes. Now consider the next principle. The sixth lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to prepare deeper than others expect. Confidence without preparation is just arrogance. Preparation creates calm. When someone has spent countless hours refining their skills, studying the situation, and strengthening their abilities, they enter challenges with a different mindset. Imagine walking into a difficult test knowing you studied every concept thoroughly. Your mind feels calm because you know you invested the effort. The same principle applies everywhere. Preparation removes uncertainty. The more prepared you are, the less room doubt has to exist. Now we approach another essential lesson. The seventh lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to develop strong self-trust. Self-trust is the ability to rely on your own judgment even when others doubt you. Many people hesitate because they constantly seek approval. They ask everyone around them for reassurance before making a decision. But confidence requires independence. Imagine standing in a situation where there is no time to ask for guidance. Your instincts must guide you. If you have trained your mind and refined your judgment through experience, those instincts become reliable. Confidence grows when you know you can trust your own thinking. Now we arrive at another powerful insight. The eighth lesson to achieve absolute confidence is to embrace failure as part of mastery. Most people fear failure so much that they avoid difficult challenges entirely. But avoiding failure also means avoiding growth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process that leads to it. Imagine someone attempting a new technique and failing again and again. If they interpret each failure as proof they are incapable, they will quit. But if they interpret each failure as information, they continue improving. Confidence grows when you realize that failure cannot destroy you. Only quitting can. Now focus on the next lesson. The ninth lesson to become incredibly confident is to remain composed in chaos. Life rarely provides perfect conditions. There will be distractions, unexpected obstacles, and unpredictable situations. Confidence requires the ability to stay calm while everything around you feels unstable. Imagine a battle where the environment shifts constantly and the opponent behaves unpredictably. Those who panic lose control immediately, but someone who remains calm gains an advantage. Calmness allows observation. Observation creates strategy. Confidence grows when chaos no longer disrupts your focus. Finally, we arrive at the last lesson. The 10th lesson to acquire great confidence is to recognize and develop your unique strengths. Every individual possesses abilities that make them effective in different ways. Some rely on intelligence, others rely on speed. Others rely on creativity or strategy. Trying to become a copy of someone else leads to frustration, but developing your natural strengths leads to mastery. Imagine someone who constantly tries to imitate another person's style even though their abilities are completely different. They will always feel awkward and uncertain, but when someone focuses on refining their own strengths, their confidence becomes natural. Confidence grows when you understand who you are and refine that identity without hesitation. When these lessons combine, something powerful begins to happen. Confidence stops being something you perform. It becomes something you are. You no longer depend on approval from others. You no longer hesitate every time a challenge appears. Instead, you move forward with quiet certainty. And when someone reaches that level of confidence, people notice it immediately. Not because it is loud, but because it is undeniable.